Night drives are supposed to be peaceful. Empty roads, distant lights, nothing but the sound of the engine. But when you're alone on the highway, far from the last exit, you start to notice things you shouldn't. I found a Polaroid on the side of the road. I shouldn't have picked it up. I know that now, but at the time I was just curious. It seemed harmless. A forgotten photograph lying face down on the gravel. How could I have known what would follow? My name's Ethan. I'm 33, living in Seattle, working as a software developer. I used to love road trips, used to love photography, used to feel safe in my own home. Not anymore. This started in the summer of 2019. My girlfriend Mara and I were driving up the Oregon coast. One of those spontaneous weekend getaways where you just drive and see where you end up. We'd been together for 2 years, talking about moving in together, talking about the future. Everything felt perfect. We stopped at this scenic lookout somewhere between Cannon Beach and Astoria. Beautiful spot, cliffs dropping down to the ocean, pine trees framing the view. The kind of place that makes you want to take 100 photos. We got out to stretch our legs, breathe in that salt air, take in the view. That's when I saw it. Polaroid, lying face down on the gravel parking area, about 10 feet from our car. The white border was dirty, edges slightly curled. "Hold on," I said to Mara, walking over to it. "What is it?" I picked it up, turned it over, and my blood went cold. The photo showed the exact spot where we were standing. The same angle, the same view, ocean, cliffs, trees. Even our car was in the background, my blue Subaru with the dent in the rear bumper. But in the photo there were two figures, distant, blurry, standing right where Mara and I were now, watching. "What the hell?" I muttered. Mara came over, looked over my shoulder. I felt her body go rigid. That's us," she whispered. She was right. The figures were wearing the same clothes we had on. Her red jacket, my gray hoodie, same build, same positions. "But we just got here," I said. "No one's taken our picture." My hands started shaking. I turned the Polaroid over. On the back, scrawled in faded pen, were 2 words, "Turn around." We both spun around at the same time. Nothing, just trees swaying in the wind. Empty parking lot, no other cars, no people, just us. "Ethan, I don't like this," Mara said, her voice tight. "It's probably just someone messing around, a prank." But I didn't believe that, and neither did she. "Let's go," she said. We got in the car and left, fast. I kept checking the rearview mirror, expecting to see someone standing there, watching us leave. But there was nothing. I kept the Polaroid. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I could figure it out later. Reverse image search. Find an explanation. Something rational. We didn't talk about it much after that. We finished the trip, came home, went back to our normal lives. I put the Polaroid in a drawer and tried to forget about it. Then, a week later, another one arrived. I came home from work to find a manila envelope in my mailbox. No return address, no postage, just my name written in that same faded pen. My stomach twisted. I opened it with trembling hands. Another Polaroid. Same location, same angle, same view. But this time, the 2 figures were closer. Much closer. Maybe 50 feet from the camera instead of 100. And they were clearer now. I could make out faces. It was us, me and Mara, staring directly at the camera. Faces completely blank, expressionless, eyes hollow and dark. We looked wrong, not quite human, like something wearing our skin. I showed it to Mara. She went pale. "We need to go to the police," she said. "And say what?" "Someone's sending us pictures of ourselves. This isn't normal, Ethan." We filed a report. The police were polite but skeptical. They took the photos, said they'd look into it, asked if we had any enemies. We didn't. They suggested it was probably just someone messing with us. A hacker. Photoshop. They'd seen weirder things. But I knew it wasn't Photoshop. 2 months later, another one arrived. This time, we were even closer. Maybe 20 feet from the camera. Our faces were clearer. sharper, still blank, still wrong. And there was something else in the photo now, something I hadn't noticed before. Behind us, in the trees, there was a shape, tall, dark, barely visible, like a shadow that didn't belong. Mara saw it too. "What is that?" she whispered. I didn't answer. Couldn't. We stopped going places together, stopped taking trips. We started fighting more. The photos were driving a wedge between us. She blamed me for picking up that first Polaroid. I blamed myself too. 6 months later, she moved out. We didn't break up officially. We just drifted apart. The photos had poisoned everything. But they didn't stop. Every few months, another one would arrive. Always in a manila envelope. Always with my name in that faded pen. No matter where I moved, and I moved 3 times, they found me. Each photo showed us closer to the camera. Each one, our faces looked more wrong, more hollow. And that shape in the background, it got clearer, taller, more defined. The last one arrived 3 days ago. I almost didn't open it. I stood in my kitchen, staring at the envelope, hands shaking, debating whether to just burn it. But I had to know. I opened it. The Polaroid showed us standing directly in front of the camera. Right there. So close I could see every detail. Our faces were inches from the lens. Eyes completely black. Mouth slightly open. Skin gray and waxy. And behind us, right behind us, there was something tall. Something with long, spindly limbs and a head that tilted at an impossible angle. His face was a blur, but I could feel it staring. On the back, in that same faded pen. Soon, I called Mara. For the first time in over a year. "Ethan, did you get one?" Silence. Then, quietly, "Yes." "What do we do?" "I don't know. I haven't slept in 3 days. I keep all the lights on. I check the locks obsessively. I don't go near windows, because I know the next one is coming. And I know what it's going to show. Not a photo of us at that lookout. A photo of us here, in my apartment, or her apartment, standing right in front of the camera, with that thing behind us. Or maybe there won't be another photo. Maybe next time it'll just be here." I looked up that lookout in Oregon. Tried to find reports, stories, anything. There's nothing. Just a scenic overlook. But I found one forum post from 2014. Someone said they found a Polaroid there. Said it showed them before they arrived. Said more photos kept coming. They stopped posting after 6 months. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what took that first photo, or how it knows where I live, or what it wants. But I know it's getting closer. And I know that when I see it, really see it, not just in a photo, it'll be too late. I'm telling this story now because I need someone to know, to understand. If something happens to me, if I disappear, you'll know why. And if you ever find a Polaroid on the side of the road, if you see yourself in a photo you don't remember taking, don't pick it up. Leave it there. And run. I saw the same red SUV for 600 miles. I'm not exaggerating. 600 miles. And when I tell people this story, I can see it in their eyes. They think I'm being paranoid, that I imagined it, that the stress of the move got to me. But I know what I saw. And I know it wasn't random. My name's Jordan. I'm 35 now, living in Denver, working as an accountant. Boring life. Safe life. But last year, April of 2024, I learned that some things follow you. And they don't need a reason. I was driving from Austin to Denver. A job transfer. New city. Fresh start. All my belongings crammed into my Honda Accord. I left early, around 6 a.m., hoping to make it in one long push. 12 hours. Maybe 13 with stops. I was tired but optimistic. Ready for the change. The first few hours were fine. Texas plains stretched out forever. Flat and endless under a cloudless sky. I had my playlist going. Coffee in the cup holder. Windows cracked to let in the cool morning air. Around Amarillo, I noticed it for the first time. A red SUV. Older model, maybe a Ford Explorer or a Chevy Blazer. Tinted windows so dark I couldn't see inside. Dented rear bumper. Dirt-streaked paint. It was in the lane next to me, a few cars back. I didn't think anything of it. Lots of people drive red SUVs. But 2 hours later, it was still there. I'd passed through small towns, changed lanes a dozen times, sped up and slowed down. And every time I checked my mirrors, it was there. Same distance, same position, never closer, never farther. That's when the unease started. That low, creeping feeling in your gut that something isn't right. I told myself I was being paranoid. People take the same routes. It's a major highway. Coincidence. But then I switched lanes. The red SUV switched lanes. I sped up to 75. It sped up. I slowed to 60. It slowed down. Always maintaining that same exact distance. Like it was tethered to me. My hands started sweating. I gripped the wheel tighter, eyes flicking between the road and the rearview mirror. I couldn't see the driver. The tint was too dark. Just a vague silhouette behind the wheel. I needed to eat, and I needed to know if this was real. I took a random exit, some tiny New Mexico town I'd never heard of. No warning. Last second, the SUV followed. My heart kicked into overdrive. I pulled into a Sonic parking lot, hands shaking now, and just sat there, engine running, watching my mirrors. The red SUV pulled in behind me, parked 3 spots away, engine still on. No one got out. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. My pulse hammering in my ears. Still, no one got out. I started the car and drove around the parking lot. Random turns. Left, right, through the drive-through lane, back toward the exit. The SUV followed. Every single turn. I wasn't imagining this. Someone was following me. I grabbed my phone with trembling hands and called my brother. Jordan? What's up? I think someone's following me. My voice cracked. I've been watching them for hours. They're right behind me. What? Are you serious? Dead serious. A red SUV. Tinted windows. They've been tailing me since Texas. Get to a police station. Right now. Don't stop anywhere else. I pulled back onto the highway, adrenaline flooding my veins, and drove until I saw a sign for the next town. Las Cruces. I searched for the police station on my phone, hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. The red SUV stayed behind me, never gaining, never falling back. I found the station, a small brick building on a quiet street. I pulled into the lot, right up to the entrance, and the red SUV parked across the street. Just sitting there, waiting. I ran inside, nearly tripping over the door frame. A deputy looked up from his desk, middle-aged, tired eyes. Help you? Someone's been following me. For hours. They're outside right now. He stood immediately, hand moving instinctively to his belt. Show me. We walked outside together. I pointed across the street. That red SUV. Right there. The deputy nodded and walked toward it. I stayed by the door, every muscle in my body tense, watching. He approached the driver's side, looked through the window, then tried the door handle. It opened. He leaned inside, looked around, then straightened up and walked back over. His face was confused. There's nobody in it. What? It's empty. Unlocked. Keys are still in the ignition. My stomach dropped. That's impossible. Followed me here. I watched it. I believe you saw it. But there's nobody inside now. I walked over on weak legs and looked through the window myself. Empty. Completely empty. The seats were covered in dust. The interior smelled stale, like it had been closed up for years. A pine air freshener hung from the rearview mirror, faded and brittle. Let me run the plates, the deputy said. We went inside. I sat in a plastic chair, head in my hands, trying to process what was happening. My mind raced. Had the driver gotten out? Walked away? But when? I'd been watching the whole time. The deputy came back a few minutes later. His face was pale. The vehicle is registered to a woman named Elena Vasquez. But according to our records, she died 5 years ago. I shot through my veins. What? Car accident. She was driving that same vehicle on Highway 285. Lost control, went off the road. Died on impact. He paused, rubbing his jaw. Vehicle should have been impounded and scrapped. I don't know how it's still on the road. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. We'll have it towed, he said. You should get some rest. There's a motel down the street. I checked into the motel in a daze. Barely slept. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow looked like that SUV. The next morning, I checked out early, hands still shaking, and got into my car. I just wanted to get to Denver. Get away from this nightmare. I made it maybe 5 miles before I saw it again. In my rearview mirror, the red SUV. Behind me, same position, same distance. I screamed, actually screamed, slammed my hands against the steering wheel. "What do you want?" I shouted at the empty road. The SUV didn't respond, just kept following. I looked closer this time. The windshield was cracked. The paint was faded, blistered, and through the tinted window, I could just barely make out the driver's seat. Empty. No one was driving it. I floored it, pushed my Honda to 90 miles per hour. The speedometer shook. The engine screamed, but the red SUV kept pace. Effortlessly. For 2 more hours, it stayed behind me. Through towns, past rest stops, across the state line into Colorado. Then, somewhere outside Pueblo, it vanished. 1 second it was there. The next, nothing. Just empty highway behind me. I pulled over on the shoulder and sat there for 20 minutes, hyperventilating, staring at the road behind me, waiting for it to reappear. Didn't. I made it to Denver that night. Barely. I was so exhausted I could hardly walk. That was a year ago. I never saw the red SUV again. Not in person. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm driving home from work, I catch a glimpse of it in my rearview mirror. Just for a second. A flash of red. A dented bumper. Tinted windows reflecting nothing. Then I blink and it's gone. I looked up Elena Vasquez. Found her obituary online. She was 42 when she died. The article said she was driving home to Denver from Texas. She lost control on a curve. No other vehicles involved. No explanation for why. She was making the same drive I was. And I wonder, did she see it too? Did something follow her? Is that why she crashed? I don't drive long distances anymore. I fly, take buses, anything but long, empty highways. Because I know it's still out there. That red SUV. Waiting. And I know that one day, I'll see it again. Not in my mirror, but parked outside my house. Empty. Waiting for me to get in. I don't drive through Montana anymore. I can't. Even the thought of it, those endless stretches of highway cutting through dense forest, the way the mountains press in on both sides like they're closing around you, it makes my chest tight. Makes it hard to breathe. My name's Emma. I'm 29 now, living in Seattle, working from home as a graphic designer. I barely leave my apartment. I know that's not normal. My therapist knows it too, but she doesn't understand why. Not really, because I've never told her the full story. This happened 4 years ago, summer of 2021. I was 25, dating this guy named Jake, sweet, optimistic, the kind of person who saw the good in everything. We'd been together for about 8 months, and he'd planned this whole romantic road trip to Glacier National Park. He was so excited, talked about it for weeks, bought a new camera, downloaded a playlist of old country songs, mapped out every scenic stop along the way. I loved him. I really did. And that trip, God, for the first 2 days it was perfect. We laughed until our stomachs hurt, sang off-key to Johnny Cash and Dolly Parton, stayed in tiny motels with scratchy sheets and made love like we were the only 2 people in the world. I should have known it was too good to last. We were driving through rural Montana on the 3rd day, late afternoon, the sun just starting to dip toward the horizon. The road was empty, just us, the hum of the engine, and endless trees on both sides. Jake had his hand on my thigh, thumb tracing lazy circles. I remember feeling so safe, so sure that everything was going to be okay. Then, around mile marker 181, the fog hit. Came out of nowhere. 1 second the road was clear, golden light filtering through the trees. The next, we were swallowed. Thick, white, suffocating fog that pressed against the windshield like something alive. Jake slowed down immediately, leaning forward, squinting. "Where the hell did this come from?" he muttered. I didn't answer. I was too busy staring out the window, trying to see anything. Road lines, trees, something. But there was nothing. Just white. My stomach twisted. I told myself it was just fog. Montana weather. Nothing weird about it. But it felt wrong. The air inside the car got colder. I could see my breath. Jake cranked up the heat, but it didn't help. And the silence, Jesus, the silence. No birds, no wind, just the low growl of the engine and the sound of our breathing. That's when we saw her, a little girl, maybe 7 years old, standing on the side of the road, right at the edge of the fog. She was wearing a yellow raincoat, bright and out of place against the gray-white murk. Her back was to us. She wasn't moving, just standing there, perfectly still. Jake hit the brakes. The car jerked to a stop. "What the hell?" he breathed. We both stared. My heart started pounding, because we were in the middle of nowhere. No houses, no driveways, no cars, just endless forest. What was a little girl doing out here? Alone? Jake put the car in park. "We have to help her." No, the word came out before I could stop it. Sharp, desperate. He looked at me, confused. "Emma, she's a kid. She could be hurt, lost. Something's wrong." I don't know how I knew, but I knew. Every instinct I had was screaming at me to drive away, to leave her there. But Jake was already unbuckling his seatbelt. "I'll just check on her." 2 seconds. "Jake!" He got out. I watched through the windshield, hands gripping the edge of my seat, nails digging into the fabric. He walked toward her slowly, carefully, like he was approaching a scared animal. The fog swirled around him, thick and unnatural. I could barely see him. "Hey, sweetie." His voice was soft, gentle. "Are you okay? Are you lost?" She didn't move, didn't turn, didn't acknowledge him at all. He got closer. 5 feet, 3 feet. He reached out, hand hovering over her shoulder. "Sweetie." He touched her, and she twisted. Not like a person, not like anything human. Her body rotated wrong, joints bending backward, neck snapping around at an impossible angle. I saw her face. Jesus Christ. I saw her face. Sunken eyes. Deep, black pits that didn't reflect light. Skin stretched too tight over her skull. And her mouth was too wide, splitting her face almost ear to ear, filled with teeth that were too sharp, too many. Jake screamed. He stumbled backward, tripping over his own feet, and hit the ground hard. The thing in the yellow raincoat smiled. A horrible, wet, clicking smile. I don't remember opening the car door. I don't remember running to him. But suddenly I was there, grabbing his arm, hauling him up. He was shaking, sobbing. We ran. I shoved him into the passenger seat, slammed the door, and threw myself behind the wheel. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip the keys. I started the engine, slammed it into drive, and floored it. The tires screeched. The car fishtailed in the fog. I didn't care. I just drove. Faster, faster. In the rearview mirror, I saw her, still standing there, that yellow raincoat glowing in the fog. Her head tilted at that wrong, broken angle, watching us leave. Then the fog lifted. Not gradually, all at once, like someone had flipped a switch. Suddenly the road was clear. The sun was still up. The trees looked normal. Everything looked normal, except Jake. He sat in the passenger seat, staring straight ahead, tears streaming down his face. His lips were moving, but no sound came out. I reached over, grabbed his hand. It was ice cold. "Jake, Jake, look at me." He didn't. He just kept staring. We drove the rest of the way to the park in silence. We checked into our cabin. We went through the motions, but neither of us spoke about what happened. Not that night, not the next day, not on the drive home. We broke up 2 months later. He couldn't look at me anymore. I think I reminded him of it, of her. I tried to move on, tried to pretend it didn't happen, told myself it was stress, a trick of the light, shared hallucination from bad gas station coffee. But then the tapping started. It was maybe 6 months after the trip. Late at night, I woke up to a soft, rhythmic sound. Tap, 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 against my bedroom window. I told myself it was a branch. Wind. I rolled over and tried to go back to sleep, but it kept going. Tap, tap, tap. I got up, walked to the window. My heart was pounding. I pulled back the curtain. Nothing, just darkness. My reflection staring back at me, but the glass was fogged. Condensation on the inside, like someone had been breathing on it. And there, in the bottom corner, was a handprint. Small, child-sized. I screamed, stumbled backward. When I looked again, it was gone. This happened 4 more times since then. Always late at night. Always the same. The tapping. The handprint. Sometimes I see a flash of yellow in the darkness outside. Just for a second. Then nothing. I called Jake once. A year ago. Asked if he'd experienced anything strange. He hung up on me. Haven't heard from him since. I looked up mile marker 181. Tried to find reports, local legends. Anything. There's nothing. Just forest. Just road. But I found one thing. A forum post from 2003. A guy claimed he saw a little girl in a yellow raincoat on that same stretch of highway. He stopped to help her. She turned around. He didn't describe her face. Just said he drove for 6 hours straight and never stopped shaking. He posted one more time. 3 months later. Said he kept hearing tapping on his windows at night. Then he never posted again. I don't know what she is. I don't know what she wants. But I know she's still out there. Still standing at mile marker 181. Still waiting for someone to stop. And I know that sometimes, late at night when I hear that tapping, when I see that small handprint appear on the glass, I wonder if she followed me home, or if she was always here. I still have nightmares about that cabin. Not every night, but enough. Enough that I wake up sweating, gasping, the smell of rot and wet wood still clinging to my throat like I never left. My name's Morgan. I'm 26 now, working as a paralegal in Charlotte. Normal life, safe life. But back in spring break of 2019, I was just a college junior looking for an escape. My roommate Sarah and I decided to drive through the Appalachians. Scenic route, quirky diners, cheap motels, the whole romanticized road trip thing. We thought it'd be an adventure. We were so stupid. The first 2 days were fine. Great even. We blasted music. Took 100 photos at overlooks. Laughed at inside jokes nobody else would understand. But on the 3rd day, somewhere deep in the mountains of West Virginia, we took a wrong turn. I don't even know where. 1 minute we were following the GPS. The next the screen flickered and died. No signal. No rerouting. Just a blank blue screen and the words, "Searching for satellites." "It's fine," Sarah said, always the optimist. "We'll just backtrack." But the roads all looked the same. Narrow, twisting, hemmed in by endless trees that seemed to press closer the deeper we went. No signs, no mile markers, just forest. Then it started raining. Not a drizzle, a deluge. The kind of rain that turns the windshield into a wall of water even with the wipers on full blast. I slowed to a crawl, white-knuckling the steering wheel, squinting through the downpour. "Maybe we should pull over," Sarah said quietly. Her voice had lost that optimistic edge. "Where?" I snapped. There was nowhere. Just trees and mud and that endless, suffocating rain. Then, through the gray curtain of water, I saw it. A cabin. Small, old, tucked back from the road, barely visible through the trees. But there was a light on in the window. Warm, yellow, and smoke rising from the chimney, thin and steady against the storm. "Morgan, look," Sarah pointed. "Someone's home." My gut twisted. I don't know why. It should have been a relief, a lifeline, but something about it felt wrong. The way it sat there, too still, too perfect, like it had been waiting for us. "We should keep going," I said. "In this." Sarah gestured at the rain hammering the windshield. "We're lost. We're freezing. Maybe they can give us directions. Or at least let us wait out the storm." She wasn't wrong. The heater in my beat-up Honda barely worked. My hands were numb, and we hadn't seen another car in over an hour. I pulled onto the muddy driveway. My tires slipped, caught, slipped again. The cabin looked worse up close. The wood was rotting in places, the porch sagging, the windows dark except for that one light. But the chimney smoke was real. Someone was definitely inside. We sat there for a moment, engine idling, rain pounding the roof. "Maybe this is a bad idea," I said. "We'll just ask for directions." 5 minutes. Sarah was already unbuckling her seatbelt. We ran through the rain to the porch, shoes squelching in the mud. I knocked 3 times. The sound was dull, swallowed by the storm. For a moment, nothing. Then the door opened. An old woman stood there, tiny, hunched, wearing a faded floral dress that looked like it hadn't been washed in years. But it was her face that made me freeze. She was smiling, too wide, too fixed, like someone had painted it on. "Come in, girls," she said, her voice soft and sweet, like a grandmother in a fairy tale. "Come in, warm yourselves." She stepped aside, gesturing for us to enter. I hesitated. Every nerve in my body was screaming no. But Sarah was already walking in, shivering, thanking the woman. I followed. The inside of the cabin was worse than the outside. It smelled like wet wood and something else. Something sour and rotten, like meat left out too long. The walls were bare except for a few faded photographs in cracked frames. People I didn't recognize, their faces blurred and strange. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace, but it gave off no warmth. The air was still cold, damp. "Sit, sit," the old woman said, still smiling. She moved toward a small kitchen area, her steps shuffling and uneven. Sarah sat on a threadbare couch near the fire. I stayed standing, arms crossed, trying not to breathe too deeply. The woman returned with 2 chipped mugs. Steam rose from them. "Tea," she said. "Drink. You'll feel better." Sarah took hers immediately, wrapping her hands around the cup. I took mine but didn't drink. The liquid was dark. Too dark. And the smell, Christ, the smell. Like earth and iron and something sweet and spoiled. "Thank you," Sarah said, taking a sip. "No," I started, but it was too late. Sarah drank. 1 sip, then another. The old woman watched her, still smiling, head tilted slightly, like a bird studying prey. "We just need directions," I said quickly, setting my mug down on a side table. "We're trying to get back to Route 60. The old woman didn't answer. She just kept staring at Sarah. And Sarah's face started to change. The color drained from her cheeks. Her eyes went glassy, unfocused. The mug slipped from her hands and shattered on the floor, tea spreading across the warped wood like blood. "I don't feel good," Sarah whispered. My heart kicked into overdrive. "Sarah?" She swayed. Her lips were turning pale, bluish. "What did you give her?" I grabbed Sarah's arm, pulling her to her feet. She could barely stand. Her weight sagged against me. The old woman didn't move. She just stood there, smiling. "We're leaving." I dragged Sarah toward the door, adrenaline flooding my system. Sarah's legs buckled. I half carried, half dragged her. My hands were shaking. My breath came in short, panicked gasps. I looked back once. The old woman stood in the doorway, framed by that sickly yellow light, still smiling. Not following, not speaking, just watching. I got Sarah into the car, threw myself into the driver's seat, and floored it. The tires spun in the mud, finally caught, and we tore down that driveway. I didn't look back. I drove for hours, through the rain, through the dark. Sarah was unconscious in the passenger seat, her head lolling against the window. I kept checking her pulse. It was there, weak, but there. When we finally hit a main road, a real road with signs and streetlights, I pulled over and sobbed. Sarah woke up the next morning in a motel room. She didn't remember the cabin, didn't remember the tea, didn't remember any of it. But her arm, her right arm, there was a bruise, a handprint, small, too small, childlike fingers wrapped around her forearm. "Where did this come from?" she asked, staring at it. I didn't answer. We tried to find the cabin later. I pulled up maps, satellite images, traced our route as best I could remember. We even drove back to West Virginia, tried to retrace our path. Nothing. No cabin. No driveway. No road, just endless forest. But Sarah still has that bruise. 3 years later, it's still there. Faded, but there. Like a scar that won't heal. She doesn't talk about it. Neither do I. But sometimes, late at night, I smell it. That wet wood. That sour, rotting sweetness. And I see her. That old woman. Standing in the doorway. Smiling. Still waiting. I picked up a hitchhiker once. Just once. And it's the kind of mistake that stays with you. The kind that makes you question everything you think you know about the world. My name's Daniel. I'm 33 now, living in San Francisco, working as a software engineer. I keep my head down. I follow the rules. And I never ever pick up hitchhikers. Not anymore. This happened in late October of 2020. I was driving up Highway 1. That stunning stretch of Northern California coastline where the road hugs the cliffs and the ocean sprawls out beneath you like something from a postcard. I'd taken a few days off work, needed to clear my head after a brutal breakup. The kind where you lose not just the person, but the future you'd built in your mind. I was angry, sad, numb. The drive was supposed to help. Wind in my hair, salt air, endless views. Therapeutic, right? It was beautiful and isolated. Dangerously isolated. The rain started around 4 p.m., not a drizzle. A full-on downpour that turned the world gray and blurred the line between road and cliff. I slowed down, turned on my headlights, gripped the wheel a little tighter. The ocean disappeared behind sheets of water. Visibility dropped to maybe 20 feet. That's when I saw him, a man, standing on the side of the road, thumb out, completely drenched. He wore a dark jacket with the hood up, jeans, boots, no bag, no car in sight, just standing there in the rain like he'd been waiting. I'm not stupid. I know the stories. You don't pick up strangers on deserted highways. You don't stop in the middle of nowhere for someone you don't know. It's basic survival. But something made me stop. I don't know what. Maybe it was the loneliness. Maybe it was the guilt. Thinking about all the times I'd driven past people in need, told myself it wasn't my problem. Maybe I just wanted to feel like a decent person for once. I pulled over, put the car in park, unlocked the doors. He opened the passenger door and slid in, bringing a gust of cold, wet air with him. Water dripped from his jacket onto the seat. His face was shadowed by the hood, but I could see the edge of his jaw, the tired curve of his mouth. "Thanks," he said. His voice was low, rough, like he hadn't spoken in a while. "No problem," I said, putting the car back in drive. "Where you headed?" "Just up the road." He didn't look at me, just stared straight ahead through the windshield at the rain. "You'll know when." Weird answer, but I let it go. Maybe he was one of those drifter types. Vague, non-committal. I cranked up the heat, trying to dry him out, and focused on the road. He smelled like smoke and earth. Not cigarette smoke, more like a campfire. And the earth smell was deep, organic, like wet soil and rotting leaves. We drove in silence. The rain pounded the roof. The wipers beat a steady rhythm. I kept waiting for him to say something. Give me an address, a landmark, anything. But he just sat there, still as a statue, water pooling beneath him on the floor mat. I glanced over at him a few times. His hands were folded in his lap. Pale, too pale, almost gray. And his breathing, I couldn't hear it. Couldn't see his chest rise and fall. A chill crept up my spine. I told myself I was being paranoid, that the rain and the isolation were messing with my head. Then he spoke. "You're going to crash in about 2 miles. My hands tightened on the wheel. I laughed, nervous, uncertain. "What?" "Black ice," he said, still staring ahead. His voice was calm, flat, like he was reading off a weather report. "You'll survive, but you need to slow down." My pulse kicked up. "That's not funny, man. I'm not joking." I looked at him, really looked, and that's when I saw his eyes. Empty, hollow, not like he was tired or sad. Like there was nothing behind them. No light, no life. Just 2 dark, bottomless pits staring out from under that hood. Slow, down. Then he was gone. Not got out, not opened the door. Just gone. 1 second he was sitting there, dripping and staring. The next, the seat was empty. I screamed, slammed on the brakes. The car skidded, fishtailed, tires screeching against wet asphalt. I pulled over onto the narrow shoulder, heart hammering, breath coming in ragged gasps. I twisted around, looking in the back seat. Nothing. No one. I checked the floor. Dry. Completely dry. No puddles. No wet footprints. No sign anyone had ever been there. What the hell? My voice cracked. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the wheel. I sat there for a full minute, staring at the empty passenger seat, trying to process what had just happened. Had I imagined him? Was I that exhausted? That out of it? But I could still smell it. That smoke. That earth. I forced myself to breathe, to think. I put the car back in drive and eased onto the road, going maybe 20 miles an hour. My whole body was tense, alert, waiting for something, anything to make sense. 2 miles. He'd said 2 miles. I watched the odometer. 1.5 miles. 1.8 miles. 2.0. Then I felt it. The car lurched. The steering wheel jerked in my hands. Black ice. Invisible. Deadly. The tires lost traction and the car started to spin. Time slowed. I saw the guardrail rushing toward me. Beyond it, nothing. Just open air and a 200-foot drop to the rocks below. I didn't think. I just reacted. Turned into the spin. Eased off the brakes. Prayed. The car rotated. Once. Twice. Then stopped. Facing the wrong direction. Engine still running. Headlights pointing back the way I came. The front bumper was less than 6 inches from the guardrail. I sat there, frozen, staring at that flimsy metal barrier. The only thing between me and the cliff. My breath fogged the windshield. My hands ached from gripping the wheel. If I'd been going faster, if I hadn't slowed down, I'd be dead. No question. I started shaking. Full body tremors I couldn't control. Tears streamed down my face. I didn't even realize I was crying until I tasted salt on my lips. I looked at the passenger seat. There, on the fogged glass of the side window, was a single word, traced by an invisible finger. Warned. I stared at it. The letters were clear, deliberate, still wet with condensation. I got out of the car on weak legs, stumbled to the guardrail and looked over the edge. Jagged rocks, crashing waves, fog swirling in the void. Could have died. Should have died. He saved me. I called the police from the next town. Told them what happened, the hitchhiker, the warning, the crash. They were polite, skeptical. Asked if I'd been drinking. Suggested I get some rest. I researched Highway 1 later. Found stories. Dozens of them. People who'd picked up a hitchhiker on that same stretch of road. A man in a dark jacket. Always soaking wet. Always quiet. Always warning them about danger ahead. Some listened. Some didn't. The ones who didn't, most of them didn't make it. There was an accident on Highway 1 in 1987. A man driving home in the rain. Hit black ice. Went over the cliff. His body was never recovered. But his car was found weeks later, smashed on the rocks. They say he's still out there, trying to save people. Trying to stop others from meeting the same fate. I don't know if that's true. I don't know what I picked up that night. A ghost. A warning. A guardian angel. But I know what I saw. What I felt. What I smelled. And I know that word on the window. Warned. I still drive Highway 1 sometimes. During the day. Never at night. Never in the rain. And every time I pass that spot, mile marker 47, I slow down. Just in case. Because sometimes when the fog rolls in, I see him, standing on the side of the road, thumb out, waiting, and I wonder who'll pick him up next. I drove through a town that doesn't exist. I know how that sounds. Believe me, I've told this story to therapists, friends, even a paranormal investigator once. They all give me the same look. Polite skepticism mixed with concern. But I have proof. Sort of. My name's Claire. I'm 37, living in Evanston, Illinois, working as a high school teacher. Divorced now. That's relevant, actually, because my ex-husband David was there. He saw it too. And even though we don't talk anymore, haven't spoken in over a year, I know he remembers. I know he thinks about it. This happened in the summer of 2018. David and I were driving from Chicago to Omaha for his cousin's wedding. It was supposed to be a simple trip. 6 hours on I-80, stop for lunch, check into the hotel, pretend our marriage wasn't falling apart. We'd been fighting a lot that year. About money, about kids, about the fact that we'd become strangers sleeping in the same bed. The drive was tense. Long silences broken by forced small talk. I stared out the window at endless cornfields, wishing I was anywhere else. Around noon, David said he needed gas. We were somewhere in rural Iowa. Flat, empty, the kind of place where you can see for miles and there's nothing to see. He took an exit I didn't recognize. County Road 47. No town name on the sign. Just a number. We drove for maybe 5 minutes down a 2-lane road lined with dying trees and overgrown ditches. Then we saw it. A town. Small. Maybe a dozen buildings total. And a population sign at the edge. Welcome to Grayford. Population 302. I'd never heard of it. David hadn't either. But we needed gas, so we kept going. That's when I noticed how off everything was. Every building looked identical. Same faded blue paint, peeling and sun-bleached. Same shuttered windows. Same sagging porches. Like someone had copy-pasted the same structure over and over. The streets were empty. Completely empty. No cars. No people. Not even a dog. It was the middle of the day. Bright sunshine. But the town felt dark. Muted. Like the color had been drained out of everything. This place is creepy, I said. David didn't answer. He was staring at the gas station ahead. A small, single pump setup with a convenience store attached. The sign was hand-painted, Grayford Service Station. The paint was faded, cracked, barely legible. We pulled in. The pump looked ancient. Analog meter, no card reader. But when David lifted the nozzle, it worked. The numbers clicked over slowly, mechanically. I'm going to find someone to pay, he said, heading toward the store. I stayed in the car, doors locked, windows up. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe. That primal feeling that something wasn't right. I looked around. The streets were still empty. But the houses, God, the houses. I noticed something I'd missed before. Every single one had a wreath on the front door. Not Christmas wreaths. Funeral wreaths. Wilted flowers, brittle and brown, tied with black ribbon. Mourning wreaths. The kind you see at grave sites. Every single door. My stomach twisted. I counted. 8 houses visible from where I sat. 8 wreaths. All identical. David came back. His face was pale. Tight. He opened the driver's door and got in without a word, hands shaking as he started the engine. What's wrong? I asked. There's no one here. His voice was flat, hollow. I checked the store. Empty. I walked down the street, knocked on doors. Nothing. Not a single person. That's impossible. The pump worked. Someone has to. There's no one here, Claire. He turned to look at me, and I saw real fear in his eyes. Anywhere. He pulled out of the gas station, tires kicking up dust. We drove through the center of town, past a post office with broken windows, a diner with chairs stacked on tables, a church with a crooked steeple. All empty, all silent, and every building had those wreaths. We hit the main road and merged back onto the interstate. Neither of us spoke for a long time. My hands were still shaking. My mouth was dry. What the hell was that? I finally whispered. David didn't answer. I pulled out my phone. Searched for Grayford, Iowa. Nothing. No results. I tried different spellings. Grayford. Grayford. Still nothing. I zoomed in on the map, trying to find County Road 47, the exit we'd taken. It wasn't there. David, the exit we took, it's not on the map. That's impossible. Look. I showed him the screen. Just a blank stretch of highway. No exit. No road. No town. He went white. When we got to Omaha, I couldn't let it go. I searched online for hours. Historical records. Census data. Local forums. Nothing. Grayford, Iowa didn't exist. Had never existed. But I had proof. The receipt. It was in my purse. Crumpled. Faded. But legible. Grayford service station. Unleaded. 12.4 gallons. $38.76. Dated June 16, 2018. Kept it. Folded it carefully and put it in my wallet. A few months later, I showed it to a local historian, an older woman who specialized in Midwestern ghost towns. I told her the whole story. She listened quietly, her face unreadable. When I handed her the receipt, she went pale. "Where did you get this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I told you, the gas station. In Grayford." She stared at the receipt for a long moment, then looked up at me with wide, frightened eyes. "Grayford burned down in 1987, she said. "House fire in the middle of the night. Spread to the whole town. 302 people died. All of them." My blood went cold. That's not possible. We were there. We drove through it. You couldn't have." Her hands were shaking. "The entire town was condemned. Bulldozed in 1989. There's nothing left. Just empty fields." She handed the receipt back to me like it was contaminated. "I don't know what you saw, but Grayford is gone. I never showed it to anyone else. David and I divorced 6 months later. We never talked about Grayford. Never brought it up. But I know it was part of why we fell apart. You can't share something like that and go back to normal. Changes you. I still have the receipt. I keep it in a drawer in my nightstand. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. Sometimes the ink fades. Not all at once. Gradually. Like it's being erased. I'll check it one day and the numbers are lighter. Barely visible. Like the receipt is disappearing. Then, a few days later, it comes back. Solid. Dark. Clear as the day I got it. I've thought about going back. Finding that exit. Seeing if the town is still there. But I'm too afraid. Afraid of what I'll find. Or what I won't. Because I've started to wonder. Did we drive through Grayford? Or did Grayford drive through us? Last month, I had a dream. I was back in that town. Walking down the empty streets. The wreaths were still on the doors. But this time, they had names on them. Written in black ink on faded ribbon. And one of them had my name. I woke up sweating, heart pounding. I checked the receipt. The ink was gone. Completely gone. Just blank paper. I haven't checked it since. Because I'm afraid of what I'll see if it comes back. There's a tunnel in Pennsylvania I'll never drive through again. Not for any amount of money. Not if my life depended on it. The Belmont Tunnel. Just saying the name out loud makes my chest tighten. My name's Tyler. I'm 28 now, living in Philadelphia, working in IT. Quiet life. Boring life. And I like it that way, because 4 years ago, I learned that some places aren't meant to be visited. Some roads should stay forgotten. This happened in the summer of 2017. I was 24, fresh out of college, still holding on to that invincible feeling you get when you're young and stupid. My friends and I, Alex, Jordan, and Becca, decided to do a road trip through rural Pennsylvania. No real destination, just back roads, weird roadside attractions, abandoned buildings. We were hunting for cool photo spots, the kind of atmospheric shots you could post online and get a bunch of likes. We'd been driving for maybe 3 hours when Jordan mentioned the Belmont Tunnel. "Dude, we have to check it out," he said, scrolling through his phone. "Says here it's haunted. Some lady died there in the 50s. People here screaming." Alex laughed from the back seat. "You believe that crap? I'm just saying it'd make a sick photo. Come on. It's like 20 minutes from here." I was driving. I should have said no. Should have kept going. But I didn't. I turned onto the side road Jordan was pointing to, a narrow, cracked stretch of asphalt that cut through dense forest. It was daytime, bright, warm. What's the worst that could happen? The tunnel appeared after about 10 minutes. A gaping black mouth carved into a hillside, framed by crumbling stone and overgrown weeds. It looked older than it had any right to be. The entrance was covered in graffiti, faded and peeling, tags from decades ago. "That's it," Jordan said. Belmont Tunnel. Looks like it hasn't been used in years, Becca said quietly. She was right. The road leading into it was potholed and cracked, weeds sprouting through the asphalt. No tire marks. No signs of recent traffic. Perfect, Jordan said, grinning. He already had his camera out. I pulled up to the entrance and stopped. The tunnel stretched ahead into total darkness. Our headlights barely penetrated it, just the first 20 feet or so, then nothing, like the light was being swallowed. You sure about this? I asked. It's a tunnel, man. We drive through, take some pictures, drive out. Easy. I looked at Alex and Becca. Alex shrugged. Becca chewed her lip but nodded. I put the car in drive. The second we entered, the temperature dropped. Dropped. From 80 degrees outside to maybe 50 inside. Goosebumps erupted on my arms. My breath fogged in front of me. Holy shit, it's freezing, Alex said. The headlights did almost nothing. The darkness was thick, oppressive, pressing in from all sides. I could barely see the road. The tunnel walls were wet, slick with some kind of moisture that glistened in the weak light. It smelled like mildew and rust and something else. Something rotten. How long is this thing? Becca asked. Her voice was tight. I don't know. Maybe half a mile. Jordan was taking pictures out the window, flash going off, illuminating brief snapshots of dripping stone and shadow. We were about halfway through when the car started sputtering. What the? I looked at the dashboard. The engine light flickered on. The RPMs dropped. Tyler. Alex leaned forward. I don't know. It's just. The engine died. Everything went dark. The headlights cut out. The dashboard went black. Even Jordan's phone flashlight seemed dimmer, like the darkness was eating the light. Complete silence. I tried to restart the car. Turned the key. Nothing. Not even a click. What's wrong with it? Becca's voice was shaking now. I don't know. It just died. I tried again. Nothing. This is so fucked, Alex muttered. Then we heard it. A scream. Distant. Echoing. A woman's scream, raw and terrified, coming from deeper in the tunnel. We all froze. Is that real? Alex whispered. The scream came again. Louder. Closer. It bounced off the tunnel walls, distorted, multiplying, until it felt like it was coming from everywhere at once. Start the car, Becca said, her voice rising. Start the car, Tyler. I'm trying. I twisted the key again and again. Nothing. The screaming got louder and closer, like someone was running toward us through the darkness. Lock the doors, Jordan said. His hands were shaking. He wasn't taking pictures anymore. I hit the lock button. For clicks. We all stared into the darkness ahead, trying to see something. Anything. The screaming was right outside now. Right there. But we couldn't see anyone. Then something slammed into the car. Becca screamed. The whole vehicle rocked. Again. And again. Bang. 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 Like someone was throwing their whole body against the driver's side door. I pressed myself against the center console, heart hammering. Alex was yelling. Jordan was frozen, eyes wide, mouth open. The screaming changed. It became sobbing, broken, desperate. A woman's voice, hoarse and pleading, right outside my window. Let me in, please. Let me in, help me. I couldn't see her. The window was fogged from our breath, but beyond it, nothing. Just black. Please. I'm bleeding. Help me. The sobbing grew quieter, weaker, like she was dying. Please. Then silence. Total silence. No sobbing. No banging. Nothing. We sat there, barely breathing, waiting. I reached for the key with a trembling hand. Turned it. The engine roared to life. The headlights blazed on. Go! Alex screamed. I slammed on the gas. The tires screeched. We shot forward, speeding through the rest of the tunnel, seconds stretching into hours until finally, we burst out into daylight. I didn't stop. I kept driving for 5 miles, hands locked on the wheel, breath coming in short, panicked gasps. Finally, I pulled over on the side of the road. We all got out on shaking legs. Jordan walked around to the driver's side, then stopped. Oh my God. I walked over. Scratches. Deep, long scratches running along the entire driver's side. Dozens of them. Like someone had clawed at the car with their fingernails. Desperate. Frantic. Some of them had gone through the paint. Down to the metal. What the fuck? Alex breathed. We didn't talk much after that. Just got back in the car and drove to the nearest town. Found a diner. Ordered coffee and sat in silence, trying to process what had happened. Later that night, I looked up the Belmont Tunnel. The story was real. In 1952, a woman named Catherine Mercer was driving through the tunnel late at night. She was 7 months pregnant. Another car hit her, head-on. The other driver fled the scene, left her there, bleeding, dying in the dark. She was found the next morning. They never caught the driver. People say she's still in that tunnel, still looking for help, still begging anyone to let her in. I believe them. We never went back, never talked about it again. Jordan deleted all the photos he took. Alex moved to Colorado. Becca won't drive through tunnels anymore. Any tunnels. And me? I still have nightmares. I wake up in the dark, hearing that voice. Let me in, please. Sometimes late at night I hear scratching. Against my bedroom window. Against my car door. And I know, deep down, that she's still out there. Still waiting in the dark. Still looking for someone to help her. I heard breathing in my trunk. I wasn't imagining it. I know what I heard. And I know it wasn't mechanical. My name's Lauren. I'm 29. Living in Boston. Working as a nurse. Rational. Grounded. Not the kind of person who believes in ghost stories or supernatural bullshit. But 3 years ago, something happened that I still can't explain. I was driving home from a wedding in upstate New York. My cousin's wedding. Beautiful ceremony. Too much champagne. The kind of long day that leaves you exhausted but happy. I left around 10 p.m., figuring I'd make it home by 1 a.m. if I pushed through. The roads were empty. Dark. Just me and the occasional semi-truck blowing past in the opposite lane. I had my windows cracked, music playing low, trying to stay alert. That's when I heard it. Breathing. Soft. Rhythmic. Inhale. Exhale. Slow. Deliberate. Coming from behind me. I turned the music down. The breathing continued. Steady. Unmistakable. My heart started pounding. I looked in the rearview mirror. Nothing. Just the back seat. Empty. But the sound was coming from behind me. From the trunk. I told myself I was tired. Hearing things. It was probably just road noise. Whined through the window. Something mechanical. But it didn't sound mechanical. It sounded human. I pulled over onto the shoulder, hands shaking, and grabbed my phone. I got out, leaving the engine running, and circled the car. The trunk was closed. Locked. I pressed my ear against it. Silence. I stood there for a full minute listening. Nothing. Just the hum of the engine and the distant rush of a passing car. You're losing it, Lauren, I muttered. I got back in the car and started driving. 10 minutes later, it started again. Inhale. Exhale. Slow. Steady. Right behind me. My hands clenched the wheel. My breath came faster. This wasn't road noise. This wasn't wind. Someone or something was in my trunk. I called 911, voice shaking. 911. What's your emergency? I think someone's in my trunk. I can hear breathing. Ma'am, where are you? I told her. She stayed on the line, calm and professional, telling me to pull over, stay in the car, keep the doors locked. An officer was on the way. I waited on the side of the road, engine running, every second stretching into eternity. The breathing continued, slow, rhythmic, never stopping. 15 minutes later, a state trooper pulled up behind me, lights flashing. I got out, nearly tripping over myself. You the one who called about someone in the trunk? Yes, I can hear breathing. I swear I'm not crazy. He nodded, took my keys, and walked to the back of the car. Popped the trunk. Empty. Just my overnight bag, a pair of shoes, a reusable grocery bag. He shone his flashlight around, checked every corner. Nothing here, ma'am. But I heard it. I heard it. Could be exhaust, air pressure. These older cars make all kinds of sounds. I wanted to believe him, but I knew what I'd heard. He closed the trunk, handed me my keys. "You good to drive?" I nodded even though I wasn't. He left. I got back in the car, hands still trembling, and pulled back onto the road. 10 minutes later, it started again. Inhale, exhale. I screamed, slammed my hand on the steering wheel. "Stop it! Stop it!" It didn't stop. I floored it. Drove 80 miles an hour the rest of the way home, tears streaming down my face, that slow, deliberate breathing filling the car. When I finally pulled into my driveway, I ran inside and locked the door. I didn't go back out to the car until the next morning. I sold it a week later. Didn't even clean it out. Just handed the keys to the dealer and walked away. A month later, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Hello. Hi. Is this Lauren?" "Yeah. I bought your car. The blue Honda, right?" My stomach dropped. "Yeah. Why?" He was quiet for a moment. "Did you ever hear anything weird? Like breathing?" I hung up. I don't know what was in that trunk. I don't know if it was something left behind by a previous owner, some residual energy, something that attached itself to the car. But I know it wasn't mechanical. And I know I wasn't alone. Sometimes late at night, I still hear it. Faint, distant, like it's coming from another room. Inhale, exhale. And I wonder if it followed me.